I think they do have the damage to it. It looks like they are, and looks like we do have Hex finish from the Silver Cross. Silver Cross actually playing normal for once. I mean that this is a very normal build, right? Well, I guess even the more normal build is the BKB, but Hex definitely not anything out of the norm here. And looks like he is gonna pick up the Aegis as well. So despite actually losing a team fight, we have to keep in mind that Sentinel was actually winning these team fights predominantly because Scourge was fighting them, just like 2v4 or 3v4, so they were always down in terms of heroes. Looks like we do see a jungle attempt of someone, and that Witch Doctor got a little bit overzealous placing this ward here, and looks like they're gonna focus down on the Darkseer. Darkseer taking a lot of damage, and Darkseer is gonna go down to the pure damage of the Destroyer. Destroyer having the ability to insta-gib at this point with this Hex. Of course, Hex is a very good item against Morphling as well, especially if if you Hex any illusion, they will just die, a replicate included. So if you can actually guess the real replicate and just Hex it, you are reducing a lot of the DPS from the Morphling. Or if you can't guess correctly on the replicate and you actually get the hero by accident, that's even better, right? So you just kill the hero. So that's, Hex is of course a very good item for the Morphling. I'm not too sure what his next item would be. I'm guessing it's either a Shiva's or a BKB if he's going to go for any like a normal destroy item. But again, this is Silver Cross. It won't surprise me if you start building like a soul booster or something like that. So, meanwhile, on the other hand, we do see Shadow Fiend level 14 at this point, almost 16. He does have Blink BKB ult, so it looks like they're going to focus here. Blink BKB ult is going to be casted, and they are going to pick off the Broodmother at this point. And of course, that Battle Fairy didn't help him at all, and I don't think a BKB would have helped him in that situation at all either. But I'm sure that little bit extra of HP wouldn't hurt, right? So yeah, the primary reason I really don't like Battle Fairy on the Broodmother is that I think BKB is just far more important as an item to get. Of course, the build-ups are nice, the damage is nice, but for the most part, Broodmother doesn't really need that. She does have pretty good regen already, and if you're really worried about mana, just make it like a Vlad's, right? It does give you more lifesteal, it gives you a little bit of extra damage as well, and of course the mana regeneration is there as well. So I mean, that is a standard build in terms of going the Broodmother, Vlad's into BKB, or BKB into Vlad's. So I mean, in these team fights, that Broodmother is just gonna get chain stunned to death. That Ravage is gonna get him one way or another, and of course the Vengeful Spirit Magic Missile is probably going to be heading to his way as well. So I don't think the Sentinel will allow like a 200 damage Broodmother just right click. And more we're going to see another waveform to farm. I really hate it when Morphling waveform farm, because there was this one game I casted in March from the very old and now disbanded Nirvana, and it looks like a Bat Rider is going to blink it. I'm not too sure who he's going to focus. He is going to focus on Leviathan, Kraken Shell. It looks like Black Hole. Yes, Black Hole is the one thing that will beat a Kraken Shell here. It looks like there was an attempt to actually get him out there with the vacuum, but unfortunately the stun on the Tidehunter was just a little bit too much. Tidehunter was almost actually picking up his hands to clap on the ground for a Ravage there, but unfortunately he was picked off here. If the Ravage had gone off, I'm pretty sure they could have, the Venge probably would have lived. And so far we do see Scourge actually coming back in terms of team fight, despite getting very interesting and odd and bad items on the Broodmother. They're actually winning these team fights, and that is very important. For so far we do see this team being extremely even at this point, but still we haven't seen a full-scale 5-on-5 combat. For the most part, we do see the carry players just farming away from both team. Looks like Silver Cross has dropped an item. Is he gonna pick up anything at this point? Let me see. He is sitting at 100 gold, so he has just bought an item. Crow is flying this way, and it's gonna be a BKB. Very good item choice from the Destroyer, and I'm glad he's actually picking up the normalcy here. Of course, it's always interesting to see Silver Cross getting really odd item. And let me give you a good example of odd item, right? He was playing Troll Warlord in one game, and I know, right? Troll Warlord. When do you ever see that in pro game? So, anyways, he was playing a Troll Warlord for Aeon.Mufc, and he noticed that his team was lacking stuns, and there was a Stormster on the other team. So what do you do when you're Troll Warlord and you need extra stun? You buy a Blink Dagger so you can actually blink up on the Storm and focus on him. As we see 4 heroes TPing, it looks like this Bat Rider is gonna drag the Darkseer across a cliff. I think you should be able to do that, right? So that was, well, I'm not too sure. I seen the Bat Rider being able to drag things up cliffs, so I would think you should be able to drag things across like crevices as well. So a little bit unfortunately, so like the Broodmother is gonna try his best to chase in here. Unfortunately, it can't able to do that, but they actually force 4 or 5 TP scrolls, 3 or 4 TP scroll on the top lane. So at the very least, they burn at least 3 or 400 resources from the Sentinel team, and you take whatever you can get, so that's not too terribly bad here. So we see Darkseer actually farming away as well. I'm not too sure where Darkseer is saving up here for, but he is sitting almost 100 CS, so he's not doing too shabby in terms of the CS department as well. I think Scourge is right now is waiting for their BKB to finish on this brood. So once the BKB is going to be finished, they do have BKB on the destroyer. Looks like they're gonna try to finish the BKB on the Enigma as well. So let's see how the BKB is gonna match up against the Sentinel, right? Only the Morphling is gonna be doing the primary bulk of the damage, and I don't think with this gear they can do too much damage. Shadow Fiend ult is gonna be completely negated by the BKB. Ravage, and that's gonna be huge if Ravage just get BKB'd. That's basically, you only pick the TIE Hunter for the Ravage. If he doesn't get his ultimate off, that is just a completely waste of a hero. Gush is not going to be too much of anything. It's just a laughable spell here. And Venge is... Oh, Venge is going to just get blinked. This Bat Rider is absolutely everywhere. This Blink Dagger. He actually got a Blink Dagger out of the jungle, which is just extremely impressive. And keep in mind that he didn't get absolute free farm, right? His farm was completely kind of hampered by the Venge and the TIE Hunter. Looks like this guy is just free farming on his own with his Aegis, and he's just like, whatever, I'm just gonna right click creeps with the orbs. And if you look at the map control, right, for the most part, the map is really divided in half, but not across a river diagonally like this, mostly like this, which is really odd. But even with this, I have to say the Sentinel is probably in a disadvantage. If you could look at the wards, right, the wards are mostly on the Sentinel sides of the camp. So just on the wards alone, we could see that Scourge is having the better map control, and even with the better map control, they were able to take it down the Roshan earlier. And this Morphing should be careful a little bit here. He does have the Lincoln Sphere, and that is going to block a blink stun from the the Enigma or anything like that. But if the Bat Rider blinks in as well, then that is going to be really bad for the Morphling. Both teams content to farm at this point. I think if this game go extremely late, that is going to be beneficial to the Sentinel team. But right now the Scourge is having a momentary advantage here. And speaking of momentary advantage here, if you're really interested of how carry heroes progress in terms of at what stage of the game they will do well, I recommend you to go to DotaCommentaries.com, check out our article page, and look for an article named Classifying Carries. One of our staff writers, his name is Rigo, and he actually wrote a really good article about timing attacks, if you will. Like right now for the Scourge, they have a really good timing attack, right? Bat Rider doesn't get too much stronger after this. He does have his Blink Dagger. The Enigma probably has his BKB finish. Yes, BKB is finished. BKB on the Broodmother is finished. That's a great timing to attack when all of your heroes are hitting their peaks, right? And also you have to recognize the timing for the Scourge. They are still very weak. Because the Morphling is not too terribly farmed, the Shadow Fiend is not really farmed, right? The Shadow Fiend only has an ultimate orb to add to his physical damage, and also with the BKBs, they are able to nullify that TIE Hunter ult as well. So they are in a great timing to push, and Rigo in his guide is doing a very good job in terms of recognizing. It looks like we do have a Vacuum here, only getting a single hero. You gotta keep in mind, Vacuum has a ridiculously long cooldown. It is one of the most ridiculous spell in the game, so that is granted that. But I think the Sentinel gotta wait for the Vacuum to be cooldown once again here.